Hello again and welcome to another edition of Newsmaker of the Week. I'm Leon Worden and I am pleased to welcome this week's Newsmakers from the Michael Hoefflin Foundation, board member Jill Melady, and Executive Director Scott Schauer.
Hi, Leon.
Thanks for joining
Hello.
us.
Thank you for having us.
Michael Hoefflin is a very well-known name in this community, and you have a big fundraiser coming up. Why don't you start right out by telling me about that?
The fundraiser is our 15th annual Evening Under the Stars. This is the 15th year that we've had it. We're really excited about it. That is our main fundraiser for the Michael Hoefflin Foundation each year. This year, Al McKay, the original guitarist of Earth, Wind & Fire, is going to be our entertainment with all Earth, Wind & Fire. We're really excited about them. The invitations just went out earlier this week, and we're at about 500 already. So we're real excited about the event, and we're hoping to hit our goal of 1,000 people and raise the money so we can make a difference for these families.
So Earth, Wind & Fire, I mean, I don't imagine there are too many teenagers out there who've ever heard of Earth, Wind & Fire. You're looking for, like me, the 40 crowd and the 50 crowd and people like that.
Yeah, the 50 crowd. Yeah, we're looking for anybody that wants to help us make a difference, and it seems like every year we get our age groups usually between 30 and all the way up. And we get some younger. My son has enjoyed this event every year for the last 7 years that I've been involved with it. So it's all age groups, but our target audience is probably between 30 and, let me say, 60.
And the date on this is September 6th, and you're up at the Mann Biomedical Park, where it seems like they're having everything these days.
Yeah, we moved the event there 3 years ago, and since then a lot of events are moving over there. Al Mann and his whole organization has been very good to the foundation, and as long as they'll have us, it's a great venue for us. And
Jill, I understand you're communications director for Michael Hoefflin Foundation, which makes sense because you're a marketing person.
Yes.
So why don't you communicate to me what give me the thumbnail sketch of what the foundation is all about.
The foundation, its core values are really about helping children and their families fight childhood cancer. We do a great job of public awareness to actually educate the people what childhood cancer is. We put our money into research to help find the cure, and we just do great communications within the community to let people know what our events are all about, where our money is being spent, and how we can really make a difference to all the families and children of the foundation.
And there are a lot of worthy charities out there in Santa Clarita. It seems like there's a charity for just about everything. What attracted you to childhood cancer in particular?
Well, my daughter, when she was in kindergarten, and now she's 18 years old, she was in a classroom at Sulphur Springs School. And at that time, Michael Hoefflin was attending Sulphur Springs, and he was diagnosed with cancer. And I met Sue Hoefflin, and I said, how can I make a difference in your life and your family and help this community? And she invited me to a gala committee meeting, and that's where it all began. And I said, I'll do anything it takes to help, especially the local children and the surrounding communities, help these children, fight their battle, whatever I could do.
Let me stop you there. One of you have to tell me who Michael Hoefflin was.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Go ahead.
Michael Hoefflin, his parents are Chris and Sue Hoefflin, who are the founders of the foundation. He was a young boy that was diagnosed and lost his battle in 1994. And the foundation was started while Michael was still alive, and it was a dream of his and his parents both that they can continue on and help other families that were going through similar situations as they were. And since then, in his namesake, the foundation, with all of the volunteers, is Jill being one, and there's another 350 that help at every one of these galas. It's just the community gets behind the cause, and it was all started with this young boy who had a dream that he could help make a difference for the other families.
Michael Hoefflin, probably the biggest difference between Michael Hoefflin's case and a lot of other cases is, often people will set up like a trust fund, memorial fund, something where they have the best intentions and they want to bring in some money and help other people in a similar situation. Somebody dies and they go to their local bank and set up a fund, and we want to use this money for XYZ. And that happens all the time. And a couple months later, that person's name isn't in the news anymore, and you never hear from it again, and that's as far as it goes. But this thing took off. Why?
I think it's different because of the situation that Chris and Sue Hoefflin were in. It wasn't a financial need of theirs, it was an emotional need of theirs to help make a difference. And I think it started with Michael's name and their dedication, transferred on to hundreds and hundreds, and the board members and the advisory board and Jill and all of the volunteers, that same dedication to make a difference. It wasn't about a monetary need for one particular family. We did not support just one particular family. I think that's one of the things that I'm real proud of the Michael Hoefflin Foundation, that if a child is diagnosed with cancer and they're in the service area of which we support, we're there for them. And currently it's 240 families that are in that service area that we're supporting currently.
And how big is that service area? Do you go outside the valley here?
It's the Santa Clarita and surrounding valleys, and what that includes is Antelope Valley, San Fernando Valley, Conejo Valley, Simi Valley. It's about 1,500 square miles. As we're able to, depending on the funds that are coming in. We would love to support every child in California or the United States, but we don't have the resources to do that yet. So in the meantime, we keep expanding the area, and we're
I was going to say, it wasn't always that big.
It started as a little Sand Canyon group with a few different families, and it grew from there. And then it was the whole Santa Clarita Valley. Then they added other areas. And this board has got together, and we have a definite geographic area that we support. And the dream is, and the goal is, that we can expand that area and help more and more families.
Now, what do you do with, how do you help them? How do you help a family? You just give them cash?
Yes, we actually give gas cards, which helps the families drive to the hospital and back for cancer treatment. We also give them grocery cards to a local Ralph's so that they're able to buy groceries for their family. What happens with a family when a child is diagnosed is someone has to take care of the family, and it's usually two working parents. So one of the parents, at least one of them, if not both, have to quit their job or take a leave of absence. And these are not people who, you know, are wealthy. They can't, they have other children, they can't afford to, you know, leave work.
So this becomes a full-time, typically becomes a full-time job for a parent.
It is, you know, and so you have to have babysitting for children, you have to have, and you have to have resources for the child that has cancer to continue their school activities. So we provide tutoring services as well as the monetary, you know, financial commitment to them on a monthly basis, as well as we have families who have, Scott's gone out to Palmdale, Lancaster area where they were using a candle basically for light. They didn't have a heater to heat their house when it was, you know, 0 degrees in the wintertime. So Scott went out there and he found a donator who would put in a new heater or an air conditioner or even a stove and just help the families in any way we can. We reach out to the community for these types of things. We had a child who was hurting so badly with all of the cancer treatments that he needed a jacuzzi to get some relief for him. So we went out and found, Scott did, he went out and found a company who donated a spa, and then volunteers went out and put that spa into their home. And it just helped this child. Initially he passed away, but during that time of need, he was there and he was comforted. And that's the kinds of things that the Michael Hoefflin Foundation does.
So the mission is not to go find a cure for cancer. You're not funding a lot of cancer research.
We are funding cancer research, and we have grants that we give hospitals every year. That's not where all of our money goes to, and we need to have the research behind what we do, because we have to make cancer treatment better for these children. And without that, these children are going to die. We have made significant strides in cancer research for children to make it easier for them. And if we had these when Michael was still alive, he probably would have done better through the treatment.
I'm sorry, if you had what?
If we had the research that the Michael Hoefflin Foundation has, had the money that they've put in, and the different treatments that they've developed since his death, if we had that research now, back then, he would have been much more healthier during the cancer treatment.
Tell me about some of that, Scott. I don't know if you're a medic. You don't have a medic.
I definitely don't.
You're a fundraiser guy.
I definitely don't.
A medical guy, right, or what?
I definitely don't have a medical background, but I do know that. I think you're right. There are hundreds of great nonprofits in this community. We're one of the nonprofits that our big dream is one day we're not in business. We would love to find that cure and the end all of childhood cancer. I mean, they say that 1 in every 30 children are diagnosed with cancer before the age of 19. That equals 65 children every single day in the United States. Parents are hearing that word. Most of the money that we fund grants for go to the Children's Hospital. We just funded one at Children's at UCLA. There's usually seed money where they develop a process that they can take to the government and get bigger grants to continue it on. So there was one example, one grant at Children's Hospital, which was, our portion of it was a little over $100,000, but by the time it was done being developed, it turned into a federal grant and grew into $15 million. They needed that seed money to get it started. So that's where we come in. Our primary purpose is to take care of those families. Our goal would be that we find that cure, and that so research is very important to us.
What are some of the different kinds of, I'm sorry, what are some of the different kinds of, not cures, but treatments that have been developed since, like you said, when Michael Hoefflin was diagnosed? What's there been lately? What's new?
You know, there's many different treatments there, and I don't want to get into the medical background because that's definitely not my portion of it. But what I hear, and when we had our whole board met at Children's Hospital, and we took a tour of hospital, and they're doing new types of gene technology that they didn't do before, where they're doing different experiments to hopefully find a cure for this cancer, to stop this cancer from growing. I would love to give you the medical terminology. That's not my end of it, so I don't really want to get too deep into that. But I would love to have another show with Chris Hoefflin and some of the Dr. Seeger, or some of the ones from the hospitals.
Happy to. You know where to find us.
Well, we would love to have another one just to discuss that research. You know, I'm real excited about this gala. I'm real excited about what we're doing with that. This year, our board of directors have committed $250,000 towards research. And we have a committee that goes out and seeks that innovative research for pediatric cancer that makes that decision and brings it back to the board.
Okay, well, we can do another show and talk about those things.
I would love that, and so would they.
Take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about what we can talk about.
Summertime means good times with the City of Santa Clarita's Concerts in the Park series. Come out to Central Park each Saturday at 7 p.m. for a great lineup of music, including Queen Nation, Hollywood U2, The Craze, and a whole lot more. Family, fun, and entertainment all summer long at Central Park. Check out the full lineup online at santa-clarita.com, and don't miss the Concerts in the Park series. This message is sponsored by Time Warner Cable.
Hi, I'm Captain Anthony LaBerge, and you're watching SCVTV, local television for Santa Clarita.
Strangers in the night.
Someone asked old Blue Eyes how you got to be a great singer. He answered, you sing great songs. And we have 56 great songs on stage at the Canyon Theater Guild in Old Town Newhall. In My Way, a musical tribute to Frank Sinatra. August 1st through September 6th. Call for tickets now, 799-2702. Do it my way.
Welcome back. We're here with Jill Melady and Scott Schauer from Michael Hoefflin Foundation. And Scott, what is it that you do on a day-to-day basis at the Michael Hoefflin? Where is the Michael Hoefflin Foundation?
The Michael Hoefflin Foundation, their main offices are their offices and warehouse, and where all the volunteers come is in Center Point, in the center of Santa Clarita. And that's where I go on a day-to-day basis, along with...
So this is your full-time job. This isn't just a charity like where you go and help out. This is what you do.
This is what I do full-time. I still have my business locally here in the community, and that's my other full-time job. But this is where my passion is, and my commitment to help make a difference is at the Michael Hoefflin Foundation. And where it is in Santa Clarita. And what I do on a day-to-day basis is number one, try to get the word out about the Michael Hoefflin Foundation and what they do. And I meet with sponsors. We are so blessed to have the sponsors that we have. Like I told you that our gala that's coming up on September 6th, that there's already 500 reservations. 250 of those are from sponsors that sponsor all of our events. So we're really fortunate, and I work with the board members to meet with other sponsors and to get the word out. We have a very small staff. There's only 2 full-time people at the Michael Hoefflin Foundation. That's myself and the event coordinator. And we are very event-based, as you know, and that's a more than full-time job that she does in 40 hours. There's a few part-time people, there's a bookkeeper, and there's 2 people that work nothing but with the families. There are our outreach coordinator and our patient family liaison. And what they do is directly, any family that contacts us doesn't go through me or go through our other full-time employee, it goes through the outreach department. And they're great with these families. And they, you know, we were talking earlier about some of the things we do. One of the funds that we have is an emergency support fund. And Jill talked about the family that didn't have a heater. We have a lot of families. There's a couple right now that are on emergency support. One single mother with 3 other children, unable to work and doesn't want to go to work, and her son went home on hospice. Her dream was that she could stay in the apartment that she's at. Our emergency support helps her fund that apartment. So there's a whole lot of different things in emergency support. Not only that, there's memorial gifts that we give to each family. When a family loses a child, we have a memorial gift that we give to that family that they're welcome to do whatever they want with. If it's for funeral expenses, if it's to redecorate the house, if it's to take the family and go on a vacation, we give that memorial gift to these families. Unfortunately, last year we gave 22 of them, and that's tough. That's the hardest part of my job, I think, is with these families and getting to know them and making a big difference, and then when they make that loss. But we're still there after that. We have outreach support groups that meet with the families, both the bereavement families and then the other support groups. So we're there not only while their child is going through treatment and why they're going through everything they're going through, but even after, for the unfortunate case that they lost their child.
What if there isn't a Michael Hoefflin Foundation? I mean, what is a family? I mean, you know, not every community has a Michael. Well, I understand that you have a big service area now, but not every community has a Michael Hoefflin Foundation. What do people in other communities? What do families in other communities do?
They rely on their local doctor. Their local doctor to give them
American Cancer
advice.
Society or something like that help with things like
Sure, but
paying their gas bills and whatever?
I don't believe so. I mean, there are other support organizations out there. I don't think there's one like the Michael Hoefflin Foundation. We've had children in other areas come to us, and unfortunately, I mean, they're real far away, and it's hard for us to get to them. So we try to partner with other organizations and refer them out, but from what I can tell, there is not one like Michael Hoefflin Foundation. I mean, we are there for hope, for help, and for healing of these children and their families.
And when we say childhood cancer, are there particular types of families that you'll deal with, and particular types of families or people with diseases that you won't help, or does that ever come into play? If
their child is diagnosed with cancer, whatever the cancer may be, we're there for them. If it's leukemia or if it's brain cancer or whatever the cancer may be, if they're in our service area, obviously there's not an application process for these families. We go through the social worker. The social worker confirms the diagnosis, and once it's confirmed, then we're there to help them. And it's any cancer. If their child is diagnosed with cancer, we're there for them in that area.
Is that how most people come to you? I mean, are they referred by social workers who know about you, or?
Quite a few of them are through the hospitals. We have what we call our Care Kit program, which is a blue duffel bag that we supply to the hospitals. And when a family comes in that's diagnosed with cancer, they're presented this bag, and inside that bag has a notebook and a business card holder and a camera and all the things. A lot of these families go to the hospital because their son or daughter may have a headache, and then they find out that the diagnosis is much worse, and they could spend a week at the hospital. So this little care kit that we give, that we get such great comments about, and there's a lot of people in the community that help supply things to this. It has shampoo and it has thongs, so if they want to go and take a shower and have something on their feet, there's camera and toiletries and notebooks and parking passes. It's very expensive to park at Children's Hospital. We supply the parking passes so they could go down there and do that. There's gas cards and food cards so they can go across the street to the grocery store and get some snacks and groceries, because sometimes the families are there for a week. So that care kit is one way, and in there's information about the foundation, and then they contact us through there. Any child that's diagnosed in our service area or not receives one of these care kits at Children's Hospital, UCLA, Kaiser Sunset, Kaiser Woodland Hills. So if the social worker is there, has the care kit, they turn it over to them. It makes a big difference for the family. That's where a lot of ours are. And a lot of them are referrals. People who've been to our events and they hear about a neighbor or a friend from school. Or our big job is public awareness, get the word out there. We're not here. You said that I'm a fundraiser, and yes, we do raise funds, and we need to raise funds to what we do to to do what we do, but our main purpose is to be there for these families and to get the word out there. And I think our job is done well if not a child is diagnosed that doesn't find out about the foundation, and we could reach out and help them.
Do you help with things like, you know, psychiatric help? I mean, if a child is undergoing chemo and still going to school, I mean, there's, you know, I can see that there would be a lot of, you know, that'd be a traumatic situation. And do you help in some way with that sort of thing?
Yes, we do. We have emotional support, and we have therapists that volunteer their time, and we have meetings every month through outreach, which is families come and join that, and they get help through the therapy. So that's all provided at no charge. And believe me, there's a lot of that. And Chris and Sue Hoefflin are the most wonderful people, and they lend a helping hand, I would say 15 hours of every day. I mean, they are there for anyone who needs their help. They've been through it, they know what it takes, and they are the most loving people. They're at the foundation almost every single day.
How long have you been at this?
I got involved because I own a local soccer business. I got involved doing a soccer fundraiser about 10 years ago. With the gala, I've been co-chairing the gala for 7 years now.
Well, that gives you enough time then. What, you know, if you had to look back, and what stands out in your mind in terms of maybe a family or families that you've helped?
Jill brought it up, and it's very emotional to me, and every time I think about that woman with 3 kids and how she heated her house, is she had an oven, and she'd go in and turn that oven on and open up the door, and that's what heated her family's house, and the foundation stepped up and made sure that that heater got fixed. That's just one of the things. I mean, I think what stands out most is every time that we lose a child, and a lot of these children I've met, spend a little bit of time with. We go to Children's Hospital at least once a year with a professional soccer team is who we usually go down with for our soccer dinner, which is a fundraiser that we have. But I just think you get emotionally attached to these families, and I think the thing that stands out every time that we lose a child, it just makes me want to do more than what we're doing now. And I've been blessed with one son that is getting married in a couple weeks, and I've just been so fortunate, and I've never had to go through this, and if I can help make a little bit of a difference, and I think that's why everybody else is there too. If you see the list of 25 sponsors, they're not there because they're getting advertisement for their business. They're there because they make a difference for these families, and I think that's why I'm there.
I can't imagine that there'd be too many things that are more difficult than dealing with, you know, families where children die.
Yeah. And you know, Leon, when you have a bad day and you think things are just not going your way, you think about the families of the Michael Hoefflin Foundation, and then it makes all your worries go away, and you think, I don't have it bad at all. And that's, you know, I think about the families and think they're the ones that are suffering, and my day gets better. It's how can I help them more and more and more every day.
Do you ever just reach a point where you say, I can't do this anymore?
No, it actually drives me. It drives me to do more and more, and I think Scott feels the same way.
It drives me every time. I mean, I often say, you know what, there's got to be an end to this for me too, and I'd love to see that cure and that foundation go away, but as long as I'm able, I'm going to be there to help make that difference. And yeah, it gets tough. It gets tough often. And I think I got to look at it, if I was in the shoes, and she mentioned Chris and Sue Hoefflin, to lose their son and for 15 years fight this battle with, we've supported over 350 families. And they've met almost every one of those 350 families, and they're there as another volunteer like everybody else. It makes me happy that when we have an event, Chris and Sue Hoefflin are the first one to write their check for a table. And they're there as volunteers and support what they started, not for them personally, but to carry on Michael's legacy, I think.
What, you know, I think I might have mentioned up front that, you know, Michael Hoefflin is a very well-known name. I mean, it's a very successful charity, and, you know, other nonprofits are kind of envious of the success that, you know, a handful, you can probably name them, you know, Boys and Girls Club, Michael Hoefflin, and you know, now Betty Ferguson and a couple other things. Have had. And so, you know, I ask, what kind of challenges are there now? I mean, other than just, you know, basically meeting your budget, what challenges, what do you want to do that you're not already doing, and what are your challenges?
You're right, and there is constant challenges, and there are 100 different great charities out here. I had a meeting last week with a guy, and he asked me the same question. He said, why do people give to you when there's 40 other people asking for them. And I think that people give to our foundation not because we have a need, but because we're meeting that need for these families. And I think that's the single one thing. If I was to say, what is it about the foundation why people are still, you know, why do we have 500 reservations and why are we going to have 1,000 people at this gala? It's because I think we're meeting that need and they want to do their part in helping us meet that need. And the challenges are the same challenges that you have in every day-to-day business. Economy's tough, things are tough right now. Everybody that's given so much that would love to even give more today are not always in that position. The realtors that were behind the foundation aren't in the same position today as they were 5 years ago. The mortgage brokers, and we have some that even as times are tough, I look on our list of sponsors and I look at a guy like Jim Doty and Don Getling and these mortgage guys that don't have the business that they had 4 or 5 years ago.
You're going to ebb and flow with the economy.
Right. And
sure.
So I think it's the same things. I mean, the economy's tough. The money is not out there. I heard somebody being interviewed earlier that they're not going to be able to step up for the nonprofits like they used to. But I think as long as we continue to meet the need, we'll have people there that want to help support us. What
about, you know, going beyond the money? You mentioned that, you know, Chris and Sue Hoefflin, you know, are there 15 hours a day helping out. Do you have need for volunteers?
Always. Always have need for volunteers. We can always use more people.
To do
There's
what? What would you like people to do?
Right now?
Besides write checks.
And it's not just about writing checks. It's about time, and it's about passion for helping the children. But we need people out there getting auction items, you know, knocking on doors, asking for them to give just a little bit to help the children and have us auction these off and raise more money. So there's volunteers for that. We now have a MAX project, which is a recycling program. We need people to pick up the recyclables at the different businesses who have so kindly volunteered, you know, their space to let us put a trash can.
Okay.
There is always room for more and more volunteers. We will always find something for them to do where they can make a difference.
But you don't really have volunteer situations where people necessarily work directly with the family.
Absolutely not. We have our people in outreach, and that there's a lot of confidentiality. We really protect these families, and whatever their wishes are, what we want to do. So we don't have our volunteers directly work with the families, but indirectly without them. For instance, this week we had 1,000 invitations or 5,000 invitations out. There were 30 people, volunteers came in the office, stuffing the envelopes, putting the CDs in. I told you we have a staff of 2 full-time and a few part-time, but I get a staff schedule every week with about 20 people on it, where somebody comes in on Tuesdays. Right now, I just called the office to get something faxed over here. A volunteer answered the phone, and she schedules every Tuesday from 2 to 5. And we have a big schedule of volunteers. There's so many things the volunteers can do, from helping with the gala, to setup, to cleanup, to help with the package. You've been to our gala before, and you've seen the auction items are incredible. And it's the packaging and the volunteers that make them that way. Obviously the donors that donate the items, but they make everything look wonderful, and it's the volunteers that do that. It's not the staff.
And tell us how people contact you.
Through our website at mhf.org is
the website. 3-character website.
The phone number they can call anytime is 250-4100, 661 area code. And they could call anytime or go on the website. If you go onto the website, you can sign up for the gala, you could purchase your table, you could put on the credit card there and do it all without having to put a stamp on an envelope and send it back. So
let's close with Jill and have her give us one last pitch for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, we're so excited about Al McKay from the guitarist from Earth, Wind, and Fire. And we have another event I'd just like to talk just a moment about. Is a wine tasting event August 19th at Steve Ullman's house in Westridge, and August 21st at Lake Sherwood in Thousand Oaks at Tag Hoefflin's house. And that is where we will introduce people who do not know as much about the Michael Hoefflin Foundation and tell them about our future hopes and dreams. So that's by invitation only, and we're really excited to introduce these people to the foundation.
Same website and phone number. Jill, Melady, and Scott Schauer, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us. If you missed any portion of this program, you can see it again and again on SCVTV.com. Check back here, Channel 20, Sunday 8:30 a.m., Thursday 9 p.m. for another Newsmaker of the Week.